Hey everyone, welcome back to BrowncoatNerd. Today we have a follow-up video on our Century Arms C308. This will be our first time shooting impressions. I do have another video on this. It's kind of a first look faux unboxing video on this gun. I also jump into the history of the Setme C that these are built off of. So if you're curious about that, go check that out. I'll try to remember to put a link to that video in the description. I really suck at that, guys. So don't be surprised if you don't see it in there. So anyways, I bought this a while back from Century Arms. I always do that. Classic Firearms. This was kind of right at the beginning of the whole COVID madness time when gun prices were starting to go up. And I believe I paid $600 for this, or $650, somewhere right around there. And at the time I was a little hesitant because in the past you would see these go on sale for like $450, even sometimes like mail-in rebate offers that would put the price right around $350. But I think those were just really good sales. So I decided, I've been looking at one of these for several years. So at the time I decided to go ahead and just jump the gun at, I think it was $650. And I'm actually surprised I ended up doing that. Shortly thereafter, they put out a little kit that just came with like a hard case and like a few extra mags, and that guy was running just under $1,000. So I think everything is starting to calm down. I'm sure the prices of these have come down some. I haven't seen any recently. Century kind of spits these out in batches. I don't know if they do it once a year, more than once a year, once every couple of years. That's kind of how it is with these. You won't see any around and be like, okay, they must have built the last of them, and then you know, a few months later, they'll all of a sudden Atlantic has them, Century Arms has them, AIM has them, everybody has them all of a sudden. They do come in several different configurations. As you can see, this one, I did get the one with the original wood stock with it. It did come with two Setme style mags. It came with these two mags here. One's pretty dark and the other one's more of a gray. I then got the aluminum HKG3 mag that you see here, as well as a little 5-rounder. I believe this is a Setme 5-round. HK does make similar mags. I'm not sure if there's a way to tell them apart, but there you go. This was advertised as a setting. This has got quite a bit of patina on there. All the mags did function in this gun just fine. One thing I do want to point out, this is not the original handguard. The original one is right here. This was kind of funky. It had a really glossy finish to it, which looked nice, but at the same time, and it felt nice, but I mean, I don't plan on taking it out in any wet fields or anything, but some people might. I feel like this might be a little bit too slippery. Also, I did not like how this side was really dark and this side was very light. And then the main thing was this was actually just a little bit too short. So it kind of swung out a little bit. There's quite a bit of play with this. I know that the Century advertised that they lightly refinish these surplus handguards, because I know it would not have had this slick outer coat on there. So I'm wondering if they popped these caps off, sanded it, and just sanded a little bit too much on one end and made it shorter than what it should have been. So either way, I did get a replacement. The finish looks a little bit better, matches the rear buttstock more, as does the color. And even better, it's a very, very snug and tight fit. Plus, these little end caps are not refinished. Century refinished them all in this like kind of HK black. These Setme Cs would have more of a gray finish to them. So I do kind of like at least a little hint of that original finish being on there. And those handguards are pretty cheap. So if you're in the same boat that I was, these are really cheap to pick up. So there is that. Like I said, all the mags function just fine. I didn't have any issues. Some people have said that their Setme C308s either don't like the aluminum G3 mags, which depending on what furniture you get on this C308, yours might come with these. Some people say they had issues with the original Setme mags that these natively would have, you know, used and shot. I've had no issues with any of the Setme mags, no issues with this, and the little 5-rounder guy has been working just fine as well. Now ammo, this was a gun that I kind of got in a bunch of rounds spread out over a long period of time. In my first video, I think I actually had already shot it some. I think I only shot 40 rounds. Only had could find 2 boxes of ammo at 2 separate times. So this ended up going with me to the range twice just to shoot 1 mag through here. I was very eager to shoot it. You know, with this being a Century C308, they kind of seem to be very hit or miss, much like any of the Century builds, honestly. So I was very eager to see if I had any issues. Also, a lot of people say that there is a bit of a lengthy break-in period for these, so it might, you know, take several hundred rounds for it to start cycling fine without any hiccups. So, 1, I was anxious to see if my gun worked. 2, I was just anxious to get through those initial rounds and hurry up and get it broke in. Also, I did go over this in the first video. In the owner's manual, it kind of has a lengthy and drawn-out break-in recommendation with you're supposed to shoot 1 round and then, you know, clean the barrel really well for the first 20 rounds, and then they want you to do it in batches of like 10 rounds for the next 100 rounds or something. I mean, you would have been cleaning that gun forever. So I didn't really follow those. Each time I did take it out, I did clean out the bore very well, which seemed to be what the directions were really emphasizing on. I have yet to even break down this bolt and properly clean it. You know, I mean, I'd wipe it down, spray some CLP on there, and put some gun oil on it and stuff, but I didn't really give it a full breakdown. And all in all, I haven't put a lot of rounds through this, but I feel like just enough. I'm anxious to give you guys a follow-up video on this. I've put 180 rounds through this. And so, I was basically, I feel like after 180 rounds, I have not had a single issue with this gun, which I'm really surprised by. So I was like, you know, screw it, I want to go ahead and get this video out there. So yeah, like I was saying, I am really blown away by the fact that I haven't had any issues with this. I have shot PMC bronze. I think I had 2 boxes of that. I think I had 1 box of, no, the PMC bronze was 308, I believe. I had a box of Winchester 7.62. I had another box of Monarch, which is just rebranded PPU for Academy Sports. And then I had several boxes of this stuff here. This is Check Surplus Cellar and Below 308. I really wish I had bought more of this. I recently just checked AIM Surplus, and it does look like they are sold out right now. But I was getting these, I think, for like 11 bucks a box. So I was more than happy to pay that for 308. I'm a total idiot for not buying more. I was ordering stuff from AIM, and I'd see that, and I'd get a couple boxes, you know, over like 3 or 4 different orders. And looking back, I should have just bulk ordered a whole bunch of that, because now they're out, and it was a really good price ammo. I did just real brief, quick little research on this ammo in case you're curious. There's really nothing, you know, no special marks on it or anything. I didn't save any of the ammo either to show you the head stamp, sorry. But from what I could find, it seems like this ammo was specifically produced for Fowls and G3s. So this ammo was like made for this gun. So once again, didn't have any issues with this ammo in this gun. Like I said, I'm at 180, right around there, because 1 box was not full. I think the Monarch had like 17 or 15 rounds in it or something. So it's an ish on the total round count there. So yeah, the accuracy, once again, now I'm not a precision shooter. I don't pretend to be one on television or in real life. I was actually relatively surprised with the accuracy out of this gun. Like I said, the first 2 or 3 times I took this out, I think I was just kind of speeding through the ammo quickly, just anticipating a jam. So I wasn't really taking a whole lot of time on aiming. I mean, it wasn't mag dumping or anything like that. But I know I definitely could have got a little more accurate shots out of it if I wanted to those first couple times. And I was getting pretty good grouping. I was impressed. Now, the indoor range I am currently shooting at is limited to 75 feet, so I wasn't really able to send the target way down range. But after those first few visits, I started to take my time because I realized this was a decently accurate rifle. And yeah, I'm actually really happy with the accuracy of this. I actually don't even really need to adjust the sights at all out of the box. It seems to be zeroed pretty dead on. So that's another big bonus out of this gun. Now, like I said, I'm limited to 75 feet. I'm sure there are more accurate guns even within this price range that you could get, but whatever, this thing's just freaking fun. Now, the trigger pull, I do go over this briefly as well in the first video. When I was doing my lineman trigger pull test on it, the first like 2 or 3 were like really heavy. I want to say the measured at like at 12 pounds or something. I can't quite remember, but they're really heavy. And then all of a sudden, I started to get really light trigger pulls. I did not write down what my trigger pull was on this, but if you go to my first video, I do mention it there. But all of a sudden, the trigger pull got substantially lighter. And so I restarted the trigger pull test, and I want to say right around 3 pounds. I can't remember. But it was surprisingly light. Now, I did not notice this the first couple of times taking out to the range, so I don't know if it didn't occur or if I just somehow didn't notice. But I did notice the last couple of times I took it out that while I was shooting, it'd be that nice light trigger pull, and then all of a sudden, I would feel like I pulled the trigger all the way back. And I'd kind of jerk the gun and, you know, then mentally be like, oh, okay, it's out of ammo because this doesn't have a bolt hold open. But then I'd be like, hold on. I never heard or felt a click. And so I'd pull that trigger a little bit tighter, and then it would go off. So I was not only getting this heavier trigger very sporadically thrown in there, but it almost felt like the breaking point was actually a little bit further back than normal. Maybe that's just in my head because it was stiffer. But boy, I realized how bad I was at flinching with this guy, because each time that happened to me is a pretty obvious, nasty, and embarrassing flinch. So I will work on that. I'm not sure if there's anything you can necessarily do to improve this trigger. I do think, I am not positive on this, but I do think that you could take a G3 trigger pack and drop it in this lower, and I think it would work. If this is something you want to do, definitely do some more research on it, because I very well could be wrong on this. But I know they do offer a lot of, you know, kind of smoothed out triggers and lightened triggers for the G3. Because like I said, when this has the light trigger pull, it's a nice trigger. There's nothing to complain about. But then you have that sporadic, really heavy trigger. And if you're trying to get really accurate shots out of this guy, I mean, that's a guaranteed flyer right there for you. Now, maybe there's something you could do to smooth out this trigger or fix that. I haven't really done a whole lot of research on that. And by a whole lot of research, I mean I've done zero research into that. Because for me, what this gun is, I'm probably just going to leave it be. I'm not going to dump any more money in it. Maybe that's how these original semi triggers were. I mean, these were military rifles. They were not built to be precision shooters. So to me, that's kind of the history of the gun. If I'm wanting a gun for my historical collection, I want all aspects of that gun to, you know, be thrown in there. So I'm probably just going to leave it alone. If you got this gun just because it looked cool or just because you want a 308 and you don't give two squats about this being a Spanish semi and the history on that, I feel like that trigger is something that I would definitely want to fix in one way or another, because that would drive me nuts. I mean, it drives me nuts, but I'm keeping it for historical reasons. So there is that. Just keep that in mind. And once again, reviews of these C308s, they're building these out of used Set-Me C parts kits. The Set-Me C was used for a very long time. I think actually to a degree still is used in Spain. So these guns typically got a lot of use out of them. The other thing that's kind of annoying, and of course everyone brings this up, is the magazine release button. Now it works just fine, but only if you have ET length fingers. Now, of course, originally these guns would come with a little paddle release as well. I'm not sure why I had both, but they did. And a lot of people will modify these to have that paddle release. And if you have that paddle release, you know, yeah, no problem. The thing for me, even though I do want this gun to be historically accurate, I feel like that's probably just too much work involved in it. I've seen some people making videos and talking about it and talking about how much of a headache it was. This one I probably will look into, but I'm probably going to cut corners, and I'm probably not going to mess with that because I don't need it. It does have this. I'm not looking for super quick mag changes when I go shoot this gun. You know, I'm not going to be using it for anything like that. So that one I will look into. Maybe I'll do swap that out, but I really doubt I'm going to mess with that. And because of that, though, one thing I didn't notice that was actually a little bit handier to use was this little 5-round mag. Because what I found myself doing was with my support hand, just kind of reaching back, and from underneath the gun, at this angle it's very awkward, but when I'm normally standing at the bench shooting, it's pretty easy to hit that mag release button with my support hand. So I found myself actually kind of enjoying to shoot that little 5-round mag a little more than the 20 or 30 round mags. So once again, just another little thing to throw out there, let you guys think about. Now, Century Arms does add a rail to this gun. Will I add an optic to it? It is kind of tempting now that I know that the accuracy at least isn't absolutely horrible like I see in some of the reviews for these guns. It is a little tempting even at the least to throw like a low magnified red dot or even a unmagnified red dot on there. I'm not wanting to throw a lot of money into it once again. And to get a quality optic that's going to stand up to a 308, I'm not sure how much money I'm going to have to throw in that. Also, once again, it kind of interferes with the going for the historical accuracy. You know, this gun came with just iron sights. That's how it was intended to be used. Like, I totally get why Century put the rail on here. If I was the guy in charge of making that decision, I would have made the decision to put the rail on all of them. Me, personally, I wish it didn't come with the rail, but oh well. That's just me because I have a weird taste. So eventually, sometime down the road, I might put some kind of optic on there. I'm also just not too savvy with optics. I mean, almost everything I have is surplus, so it's iron sights it is for me, and I'm pretty used to it. I do plan on making a few other changes to this gun. I am going to change out this polymer lower. I have a really not too good condition original Sentney C lower. I was thinking about modding to have the shelf in it so I could use it in a semi-auto. I might just get a metal G3 lower. They look essentially the same. There's very minor differences, but I can buy one of those in good shape, which will match the rest of the gun, and already modified, ready to go. I just want to get rid of this plastic one. You know, the Sentney's never had a plastic trigger housing on it like this. I do believe some of the variations of the G3 did. But I just like, and also I think just with the wood furniture and everything, it's just going to make this gun look, well, you know, better. Also, the flash hider, Century Arms put their proprietary chevron muzzle brake on there. I mean, it seems to work. I haven't shot this gun without that muzzle brake on there, so I can't tell you how much more it would kick if it didn't have it on there. I do get a good bit of flame coming out of the top of that brake, though, right in my line of sights. So, well, that's cool. It's, you know, kind of annoying at the same time. Plus, I think this gun just kind of looks goofy. I think the side profile is just goofy with that thing on there. I think it would look much better with a flash hider or really pretty much any other kind of muzzle device on there. So I'm going to get a flash hider on there. Now the thread pitch has been changed on this from the original Sentney. So if you just run out there and get a surplus Sentney C bird cage like I did, it will not simply thread on there. Now the threads are so close from what I've read, and I've seen a few pictures of people doing it too, you can actually kind of force thread that original flash hider on there. I don't think it will... I think it will leave you with a small bit of gap. So if you do that, you might want to throw a locking washer on there or a locking nut just to kind of fill in that space. Or you could buy a flash hider of the proper thread pitch. I can't remember the exact dimensions, but it's the same as an AR-10. So you have a huge variety of muzzle devices that you can put on there if you want. I know PTR makes one that's almost a copy of this Sentney C because it's a copy of the G3 and it is in the correct thread pitch. So that is a possibility to get a flashlight. It looks just like the original and thread it right on there without messing up the threads or anything. So I'll be going one of those routes, and that's really pretty much all I plan on doing to this gun, other than the possibility of getting some kind of optic. But all in all, like I said, right around 180 rounds. I had 0 malfunctions, which honestly, like, I'm not trying to talk trash on Century, but I'm freaking surprised by, because even if I had a few malfunctions, I wouldn't be like, oh, this gun is garbage, you know. I was fully expecting a few malfunctions with everything that I've read. So I was very happy I didn't have that at all. It kind of definitely boosted my faith in this gun, along with the accuracy I was getting out of it. You know, I'm pleased. You know, I'm not saying it's a marksman rifle, but some of the reviews I've been reading, it's saying like I mean, not just the sights were way off, but they're getting flyers in all different directions. So with it being a Century build, you know, you do have good chances of getting a lemon, unfortunately. But it seems like in this case, when they build these C308s well, they work well, because right along with it, with all the reports of people having, you know, nonstop issues and getting lemons, C308s, there's a lot of people going, I've never had a single issue. You know, I've ran it through its paces, and it's actually holding up really well. So, if you do want to buy one of these, just keep that in the back of your mind. I would definitely buy one new. Just simply so if you do have any issues, hopefully you don't, but if you do, these do have a warranty on them at least. So I know you don't want to deal with the headache of having to send the gun back to Century, but you at least have that option, instead of having to figure it out yourself and pay for it out of pocket to get it fixed. You can just send it in to get the warranty work on. Now, if you come across one of these that's used, I wouldn't necessarily say don't buy it. If it's a situation where, like, you know them, I would definitely say go out, shoot it, so you can see how it functions. And then if it works well, like I said, some of these are built proper. You know, I'd say definitely go for it. I'd just be a little more wary if it's used, because first thing, you know, with these being a C308 and they're hit or miss, it's like, okay, why is this in this gun shop, or why is this in the pawn shop? You know, did the guy just get bored with it and want to sell it, or has he had nonstop issues and is done with it? That's just kind of the one little thing that would make me nervous about buying one of these used. So that's just my 2 cents on that, guys. I wouldn't overpay for these either. If you're gonna pay $900 for one of these, I mean, PTR makes a G3 with or without the rail. They definitely have a better reputation. Yes, PTR did supply the receiver and the barrel. I am not sure who assembled this. I cannot find any definitive information. Every time I try to find this, people are like, oh no, it's assembled by them. I'm like, okay, well, what article, what, you know, how do you know this? Did you email them? And the response is, well, that's what everyone says. You know, it's just like, geez. I have emailed PTR about these C308s twice now. Just trying to get them to respond, because I know at the very least they are supplying the receiver and the barrel. I just don't know if they're the ones that are actually putting them together as well. I have not been able to get a response from them at all on the subject. They don't really seem to care too much. But the PTR G3s, I think they're like right around $1,000. So if you're getting in the $1,000 range for one of these, and you know you're just wanting a roller delay 308 or just something unique and different, it's got all the exact same features. You know, if you can get this at a cheaper price like I did, like around $650 or something, you know, that's almost half the price of the PTR. That's almost worth the gamble of getting a lemon or not, you know. That's part of the fun, right? Also for me, obviously, I've got the two Set Me Ls. I've got an L and an LC. Those are the guns that Spain replaced this with. So this kind of also fit right in there with my little Spanish roller delay collection. So that's, I've been wanting to get one of these for a while, and then after I got the two Ls, I guess actually I only got the first L when I bought this. Then later got the second L. But yeah, after I got that first L, I was like, okay, now I absolutely have to get one of these. Cross your fingers and hope it works, and this one does. So if the price is right, I would say this is definitely worth investing in. Just don't pay too much. You know, if you're getting the higher dollar price range, just look at getting a PTR. They're just a little bit better, And if you're paying that price anyways, why not? Alright guys, so that is it. Eventually you will see this girl sometime, probably in the future, not so near, with a new lower and muzzle brake on it. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you gleaned some information from this that you found useful. Stay safe and stay shiny.